Heard you missed me, I'm back. That's Monster Music in Charleston, South Carolina. Let's see what else I got in there. Greetings, y'all. Welcome to part 2 of my look at monster music and movies in Charleston, South Carolina. If you haven't watched the other video, I hope you go check that one out, part 1. So like I mentioned in that, this shop is just amazing. I've been down here working for a few months. I've been to Monster Music a few times. Just an awesome store, and it's a huge store like you don't usually see anymore. It's like from the past because it's so big. Most of the time now when I go to these towns to work and I go to the record store, you know, they're cool, but they're like usually those smaller kind of shops I'm sure you're familiar with. So to find a place like this big is just amazing. And the prices are awesome, the selection is awesome, the staff is awesome, the place is awesome, what can I say? But my visits, I all revolved around, they have these great sales. The first Saturday of every month, it's 20% off all new and used vinyl, and the second Sunday of every month is 20% off all the new and used CDs. They are not paying me to endorse them like this. I just can't tell you how much I love this shop. It's great. I'm kind of lucky that I don't live nearby because I'd probably be spending all my money every month on this place. So, like I said, this is the second video. We're going to show another batch of stuff that I bought here, so let's check it out. 1982, we get Talk Talk and their album The Party's Over. Of course, my introduction to Talk Talk was in, I guess, 3 or 4 with their song It's Your Life. That video was constantly on all the music video shows I was watching. They always played that. I don't know how high that charted on like the top 40, but the video was constantly on. And that was all kind of I knew about the band. And I picked up that CD not too long ago, and it's pretty good. And I saw this one there at Monster and was like, yeah, let me see some more stuff from this band, you know. I don't know what happened to them. I don't think they're around anymore, but, you know, cool band, kind of synth pop, new wave, obviously. If you like that stuff, you'll enjoy this. Some of the tracks on here I like are Another World, Today, and I was going to say the title track, but it's not the title track. It's named after the band, the song Talk Talk, which opens the album. Which I said I didn't know anything else by them other than It's Your Life back then, but I feel like I'd heard that one maybe back in the 80s, Talk Talk. It's very familiar, but cool band, cool album. 1962, we get Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass and their album The Lonely Bull. I think this is his debut, maybe. But I had been watching the documentary about A&M. I think it was on Epix, I'm not sure, but pretty good documentary, enjoyed it, and obviously Herb Alpert is the A in A&M. And I really wasn't familiar with any of his music, but they played some of it obviously in that documentary, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good, I think I might like this. And so I'd been kind of on the lookout for something by him, and saw this there, and you know, got it for a good price because I got the 20% off, and I picked it up, and I really like it. It's really good. It's you know, kind of that a lot of instrumental stuff, kind of really mellow and chill. Lots of cool liner notes inside here. Oh wait, no, they must have fallen off the page. Wait, where'd they go? But you know, these earlier CDs, they did things like this. I'm sure that there's like a reissued version of this that probably has some awesome liner notes in there. There is some stuff on the back, a very brief thing that's on the back here about the record and stuff. But yeah, I think I'm gonna dig a little more into them because I really like this. Some of the tracks that stood out on this are Quiet Tear, Crawfish, Acapulco 1922, and the title track, The Lonely Bull, which I think is one of the songs that they played in that documentary that caught my ear. But really cool, I really enjoyed this. 1982, we get Dire Straits and their album Love Over Gold. I've been picking up a bunch of the Dire Straits stuff that I didn't have recently. I think I only had 2 of their records, and then I've been kind of picking up them as I go along. This album has 5 songs on it, so you say, oh, they put out this as an EP, but it's not an EP because one of the tracks on here, Telegraph Road, is like 15 minutes long or something like that. Yeah, I've been kind of getting into them, you know. A lot of their stuff's a bit mellow, you know, and but I've been kind of enjoying their stuff so far that I've heard. On this record, Telegraph Road, even though it's 15 minutes long, I actually enjoyed that one quite a bit. And also Industrial Disease was the other track that really stood out. But you know, all these records I've kind of listened to maybe once, more or less, so I gotta give them all like a couple more listens before I really make up my mind. But I remember kind of really enjoying the stuff that I heard on here. 2002, we get Wilco and their album Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. I only picked up my first Wilco record last year at a Goodwill, that one with the cracked egg on it. The name of it's slipping my mind right now. But I'm familiar with this record in that I know this is like really popular and is something like kind of like a highlight in their catalog. And I wasn't really looking for this or anything like that, but I found this in the $1.99 bin at Monster. They have, right near the cash registers, they have this big bin of like $1.99 CDs, and I saw this there, which surprised me. This doesn't strike me as the kind of record you'd find in the $1.99 bin, you know, like I would have thought this would have been in the regular use CDs for maybe $4 or $5, but lo and behold, there it was for $1.99, and I was like, yeah, let me grab that. That's a pretty good deal, 20% off. I paid $1.50 or something for this, but it's good. I'm really kind of getting into Wilco. Like when I bought that Egg record last year, I really enjoyed it, and I wasn't familiar with any of their other stuff so much, like maybe a song here or there. So some of the tracks on here I dig are Camera, War on War, Heavy Metal Drummer, I'm the Man Who Loves You, and Poor Places. Another good record that I picked up here at Monster, really liking this one. 2000, but drenched in the 80s, we get the Stray Cats and their greatest hits. All tracks, 24-bit digitally remastered. That's according to the back here. And on the front, it says 17 knockout hits. How about that? You know, I like these guys, but it never was something that I ever even thought about picking up, like a best of by them or anything. And I feel like a best of covers it for me. And I don't know, just like, right before I went to Monster Music, it just popped in my head like, yeah, you know, it might be cool, like picking up a Stray Cats. Maybe I heard a song on the radio or something like that, and I was like, oh, that would be kind of, you know, maybe I should pick up like a best of by them. And I went in there, they had this one, and I grabbed it, and it's really good. I mean, I like their stuff. I mean, you can't deny how catchy and fun a lot of their music is. It's, you know, if you're not familiar, it's kind of new wave / kind of rockabilly. You know, just fun rock and roll songs, and they were a good band. I don't know why, you know, I mean, they kind of were part of the 80s. They had that kind of look. Maybe it came across as a little gimmicky to some people. Maybe that's why beyond the 80s it just didn't really pan out. But even like by like the mid 80s, I feel like their run had kind of come to an end. And then obviously Brian Setzer went off and had some success just in the 90s, you know, playing in his own band. But it's a good collection of songs, you know, stuff that you'd want is on here. The booklet's got like kind of a cool little essay here by Dave Edmonds, who worked with them a bunch. And then after that, it's just like a little disappointing because it's just page after page of all of their releases, like everything that they released, every single, every album in the United States, and then in the UK, all the singles, and it just lists them. And even like, you know, this is a band that there's probably like 10 different versions of the greatest hits or best of CDs that you can find by them, and they list all those as well. It's just, I don't know, it's a little disappointing. I mean, it certainly shouldn't have taken up like, you know, 10 pages in the booklet. They probably could have fit all this on like US releases, foreign releases, and then had some more liner notes or something. That's the only thing I would say. It's a little disappointing with this, but like I said, all the tracks on here that you want are on here. Rock This Town, Stray Cat Strut, She's Sexy in 17, and probably my favorite song that they ever did, which was actually, I think, released in like '89, that I don't even really think it did very well, like chart-wise or anything, but is a song called Bring It Back Again. I really like that. I think it was from an album called Blast Off. There's a couple of live tracks at the very end of this that are all taken from 1982. But cool, I'm glad I picked this one up. 1979, we get Joan Jett's debut, Bad Reputation. It was released as Joan Jett, and they re-released it as Bad Reputation. I just recently watched the documentary about her, and I really enjoyed it. And I never owned any Joan Jett records. This is the first one I ever picked up. This one actually I picked up brand new. It was $5 brand new plus the discount. But the documentary, there were a couple of songs that I wasn't familiar with, especially You Don't Know What You've Got. That kind of caught my ear and just kind of made me think like, oh, you know, I should maybe pick up some of her stuff. So I grabbed this one when I saw it there, and it's good. It's really good. I mean, she has like a lot of covers, which maybe is the one criticism to her, especially her early stuff. A lot of covers on here, but you know, I really enjoyed this record. It's a good, you know, kind of new wave, kind of, you know, kind of pop punk record, rock album. There's not really any like liner notes, which you would expect in here, but you know, there's some good info about each track and some pictures. There's some bonus tracks on here as well. But some of the tunes on here I dig. Do You Want to Touch Me? Doing All Right with the Boys? Bad Reputation, which arguably is maybe her best song ever. And then she does a cover of a Who song, which I wasn't familiar with. It's a bonus track on here called Call Me Lightning, which I really like that song, but she sings it in this like kind of high pitch. It's not like her regular singing voice, and it's like, it's good, but like, I'm like, why? She should have just sang this like she normally sings. It would have made it 100 times better, but nonetheless, it's still a good song. I still like it, but yeah, good record. Glad to finally have this in the collection. 2005, we get Ian Dury and Reasons to Be Cheerful, the best of Ian Dury. This is a 2 CD selection. It's a little slipcase. And I got this like for $4, two CDs. And Ian Dury, I wasn't familiar with him really beyond, the only song I knew by him was Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll, which probably a lot of people know, and that's it. But again, it was like this 2 CD collection. I just was like, you know, why not? Let me take a chance on it and getting it fairly cheap. Maybe there's some other stuff on here I really like. But I really didn't know too much about his life or his music. I honestly didn't even realize that he had passed away. But there's some great liner notes in here about his career. I know there's a film made not too long ago. I think Andy Serkis stars in it. And I remember always kind of wanting to check it out, but then it disappeared from streaming, so I never got the chance to. But it's kind of hard to place him. I mean, I think some people kind of put him in like, refer to him as like punk, you know, and I don't really know if I'd classify him as that. I mean, his songs are kind of, I don't know how to describe it, you know. I mean, they were like kind of pop songs, but there's like kind of humorous, kind of storyteller kind of lyrics. I don't know if if he's like you would call him a troubadour. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if troubadour is maybe just a guy with a guitar by himself, maybe, and he had backing bands. But I don't know. It's just it's like pub music. It's kind of like pub rock or pop or something, you know, like stuff you'd expect to listen to in a pub and everybody kind of like singing along or stuff like that. I don't know. I guess maybe that's the best way I can describe it. But there's some interesting stuff on here. You know, I mean, it's a ton of music, and I've listened to this all once. I got to listen to it again. But there's some really good stuff on here besides Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll. Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick, fucking Ada, Dance Little Rude Boy, Peter the Painter, and Sweet Gene Vincent I liked a lot, which, if I remember correctly, maybe it sort of had a little bit of like a Beach Boys vibe to it. But yeah, I mean, I got to dig a lot more into this record because there's so much music. But you know, pretty cool. Nice pickup for a good price too. 1983, we get Hall & Oates, and Rock and Soul Part 1, and there's never been a Part 2. You know, I've talked before about like bands, they put out these like greatest hits records where they'd be like Volume 1 or Part 1 or something like that, and it's almost like they jinx themselves and they never put out a second one. I think Billy Joel's the only one who kind of escaped that because he put out Volume 1 and 2 at the same time, you know, and kind of avoided that curse. So what happened is, I've never been a huge fan of these guys, but you know, we all know all these tunes. They were all over the top 40 radio, music videos. You know, you couldn't escape them in the 80s. And when I came down here, I had like this Roku TV that I'm pointing at right now, and I found like an old 80s music video channel on there. I think it's through Vivo. I've just had it on in the background while I was working and stuff all the time. It's pretty cool. I mean, it got a bit repetitive, but I just, you know, initially it was just really wild to have it on. It was like going in a time machine, like going back and watching MTV or something back in the day. And you know, they'd play a bunch of Hall & Oates that kept coming up, and I don't know, it just kind of like stuck in my head, and I just was like, you know what, man, I wouldn't mind owning like a best of record by them. I mean, I feel like that's all I need. I wouldn't go digging into their albums or anything. And I remembered when this came out in the 80s, and it just seemed like it had a good collection of their hits, you know. Whatever you want more or less is on here. Say It Isn't So, Sarah Smile, Rich Girl, Kiss on My List, Private Eyes, Maneater. There's a couple of bonus tracks on here, but the tune that I like the most on here, I think, is Adult Education, which I think I remember liking even back then. And if I can get the booklet out here, I guess when the record was released, it came with like a calendar I saw or something like that, and it kind of put the calendar in here. But yeah, so you know, not bad, you know, kind of cool just to have like a best of by these guys. 1979, couldn't get any different from Hall & Oates than the Swell Maps, and this is their record, Jane from Occupied Europe. Punk band. Maybe 2 years ago or something, I picked up, they put out a compilation, I forget what it's called, like International Rescue maybe or something like that. Picked that up. I heard like a song from them that was on that record, and I picked it up, and I really, really liked it. I wasn't familiar with them at all back then. And I'm walking around Monster, and all of a sudden I see Swell Maps, and I'm like, that couldn't be, you know, the same band, could it? And sure enough it was, and I just grabbed it. It just seemed like the kind of record. Maybe it's not, but to me it seemed like kind of more of like a rare kind of thing that you wouldn't really find in a record store. Like maybe if you had gonna buy it, you'd have to go to like Discogs or eBay or something. But there it was, and you know, and I picked it up, you know, and it's pretty good. There's a lot of instrumentals I think on here, but it's a good record. You know, right in line with that other release that I have by them. It just kind of same kind of stuff, you know, and I really like it. Some of the tracks on here I dig are Secret Island, Border Country, and Let's Buy a Bridge. And Secret Island, there's actually an instrumental version on here as well of it, but it's a little different because it's longer. It's like 2 minutes longer than the actual song. But cool pickup, really cool to see this one there. From 1989, we get The Beautiful South and Welcome to the Beautiful South. I'm pretty sure this is their debut. I have a couple of CDs by them. They're kind of out of the ashes of the House Martins, which is a band I like a lot. And yeah, they just like the House Martins, they were on Elektra. And saw this one there, picked it up. It was $3 plus the 20% discount, so I got this really cheap. Good band, kind of, you know, like alternative, I don't know, post-punk, whatever you want to call them. Lyrics and everything in here. Like I said, I got a couple of records by them. Whenever I sort of see one, I just grab it. I don't know how many they have. I don't know how many I have, but I might be getting near to have all of them now at this point. But some of the tracks on here I like are I'll Sail This Ship Alone, I Love You But You're Boring, and then the tune Girlfriend, which was really crazy because it's a cover of like that Pebbles song from the 80s, like R&B kind of singer, Pebbles. Yeah, so like it's a real catchy song, and I was like, wait a minute, is this what I think it is? And then I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, it is, you know. So kind of weird, wouldn't, you know, kind of a left field kind of song for these guys to be covering, but it's good. 1982, we got some vinyl. We got The Who, and It's Hard. If you saw the last Monster music video that I did, you would have seen that I picked up the Face Dance's 40th anniversary, and then I was in there and saw this in the bins and decided to grab it. I got it really cheap. I think maybe with the discount, I think maybe I paid like $3 for this. I don't know. It's in good condition. But they had just released the 40th anniversary of this record this year for Record Store Day. So I'm guessing whoever owned this record bought that and then sold this to Monster Music, and then I picked this up. So I became a big Who fan in those early 80s from my brother. My brother was a Who fan. That's how I kind of started hearing them. Loved Face Dances, bought it when it came out. I know that these records are not high up, on Who fans' lists of favorite albums. But I remember when this record came out, I loved Athena, the title single, and I couldn't wait to buy this record because I loved Face Dances so much that I couldn't wait for this record. And I remember being a bit disappointed by it back then. I don't think I listened to it all that much, beyond Athena, just nothing really caught my ear. But I don't know. I maybe a handful of years ago, I bought all the remastered CDs that Who put out, including this one. Just bought them all because I was a Who fan. But I still had never really listened to this album all that much, and I don't know when it was maybe like 2007 or 8 or something. I decided to give this record another chance, and I listened to it, and this time I liked it a bit more. I mean, I still kind of wasn't crazy about it, but I liked it a bit more, and I don't know, I just saw this there. I have a bunch of Who on vinyl, and I just saw this there. It was so cheap, I just was like, I'm gonna pick it up, because I feel like this is one that the more I listen to it as I get older, I kind of appreciate it a little bit more. Obviously Athena is the standout track. Eminence Front is the one song from this album that probably the majority of Who fans will admit to really loving this, even from this era of the Who. But a lot of these tunes I started really kind of getting into, and I really am looking forward to going home and putting this on to listen to, because ever since I saw they were putting out the 40th anniversary of this, I was just like, I need to revisit that record again, because I remember a few years ago listening to it and enjoying it more than I did back when it came out. So yeah, it'll be fun to go home and listen to this. 1980, we've got Psychedelic Furs, some more vinyl, and their debut. I have most of their records on CD, and I really like them, and I wasn't familiar with this record when I got on CD, but I remember really enjoying it, and I saw this there. It's a promo, it's got the little gold stamp thing there, but I think I got this for like maybe $10. It's in pretty good condition, a bit of wear on the cover, but it's kind of solid, and saw these guys a few years ago live. It was a great show. They're still out there playing, but it's that like kind of new wave, beginning of that new wave post-punk kind of era of bands. This needs to be cleaned. Columbia Records there, label. But it's a good one. I like this one a lot. Some of the tracks on here I dig are Sister Europe, Imitation of Christ, and Flowers, which is a really, really good song. I remember when I got the CD of this back in the day and listened to it, and I remember that song like really standing out and really catching my ear. But good pickup. All this stuff is a great pickup from Monster. Like I said, if you are ever in Charleston, South Carolina area, even if you're just kind of passing through, check that place out. I don't think you will be disappointed. I can't say enough good things about that. I'm gonna miss being able to go to that place, I'll take the drive all the way down to go there sometime. No, I'm not that crazy. But, let me know about these records, tunes that you like on them, point out some stuff for me to listen to. And I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you another time. Later.